Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Leadership Satsang. I'm your leadership coach, Yukti Kapoor Mehndiratta, welcoming you and thanking you for making time to be here. As promised and discussed and decided, let us start this session with some chanting so that it can help you to be here completely with me, especially for a topic such as self-love that I want to talk about. It's really important to first come back to the self. So let's do that with a chant. We'll chant Om and we'll do it 5 times. As I explained the last time, Om is divided into 3 syllables, A, O, M. So you will take a nice deep breath in, and before that, ensure that you're comfortably seated with your spine straight, shoulders relaxed. Sit straight, take your time. And take a nice few deep breaths in and out. And bring yourself to this moment. For this conversation that's going to help you find your way back to yourself and connect with yourself. And the best way to do that, anytime you wish to connect with yourself, is to first come into the present moment. So let's do that as we chant together. Please make sure you allow yourself to call out, say out loud Om if possible, because that will help you to feel those vibrations physically in your throat and running through all the chakras if you're doing it the right way. So allow it to go deep. Close your eyes, spine straight, shoulders relaxed. Let's take a nice deep breath in, and as we breathe out, we will chant Om. Let's do it. Allow yourself to be with these vibrations for a little bit. And whenever you're ready, you can rub your palms, press them on your eyes and face, and slowly come back. All right. So as you share how you feel, do let me know, where are you joining in from, which part of the world are you connecting with me right now? From where are you connecting today? Rimraj, so good to have you here. Hi, Bharat. Let's see who else has joined us live. Just give me a hi. If possible, share with me, where are you joining me from, and are you feeling that you're here in the present moment right now? Because that's how simple it is. But somehow we miss out on doing simple things in life, isn't it? We're just used to complications and complicating both. So we're going to simplify self-love today. Very, very important to really understand what it means and what it doesn't. There are so many interpretations of it, it's not even funny. And I'm going to share with you something that should stay with you and should be a reminder of not just how important self-love is, but what it is and what it is not. All right, wonderful. Shikha, Pratyasha, after a long time, good you here. Rajesh, hi. So good to have you. Juzair, how nice to have you here. Adil, very good evening. Very good evening. Nalin, so good to have you here, Nalin. Wonderful. Thank you for making time, guys. I'm so happy that you're here. And because we're going to talk about self-love, I'm curious to know, on a scale of 10, from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest, how would you rate self-love for yourself? How much do you love yourself? Honestly, like, I don't have to say this twice, right? This is a leadership platform. You're all leaders here. That's what connects me with you and you with me, which means that honesty is a given. We are not people who worried about what makes us look good. We are here to become better. That's a much bigger cause to work towards, right? So let's forget about how it looks. Let me know, what is that number you would give to yourself? When I say self-love, how does that look to you? How would you rate your self-love? It could be 1 for all we know, and that's all right, because I'm not going to let you go from this session today without a very clear action plan on bringing in more self-love, because that's really important. So as much as I'm going to tell you what it is and what it is not, I will also tell you and share with you how to add another 1, a +1 to that score. Wonderful. So we have a 7 and a 6 and a 8 and a 4, and great. Wonderful. Okay. So the fact that you've given yourself this number stems from your understanding of self-love, right? Now, self-love, if you look at it in on a scale, it is somewhere in between being a narcissist, मैं मेरी favorite हूँ, you know, that character, and then a self-hater, which is the other extreme. So self-love is none of these two extremes, right? Obviously, if you're a self-hater, there is no element of self-love, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like any other scale, we wish to go from a 6 to a 10, where 10 might be where you're full of yourself and you think that you are all that matters, and that's not self-love. Self-love is also not about allowing yourself to do anything and everything, even if that means you're using your body to get that. You're using your mind to get that, just for some pleasure, just for some fun. When you work against what you already know as bad, bad for who? Bad for yourself, you still do that. That is not when you are exhibiting self-love. Not allowing yourself to get that much sleep as your body needs is not self-love. Getting addicted to substances which you know are not healthy for you is not self-love. What is self-love is very important to understand before we say I'm a 6 or a 4. Because there are many times in our life when we do something to make ourselves happy and we think this is an expression of self-love. And that's what I want you to challenge before I go any further into what it is and what it is not. Self-love is not about doing anything that brings you joy. You always need to be mindful of the impact you have on others. You also need to be mindful of the impact it will have on your own body and your own mind. When you are aware of that, and then you choose to do what you wish to do, is when you are probably exhibiting self-love. Now, I'm going to put out a few questions to you, and I want you to honestly answer them at your end. You could put it in the chat if you're comfortable sharing. Be happy to read some comments on this. Tell me, when you look into the mirror, who do you see? When you look into the mirror, who do you see? And what do you see? And for how long can you see this person you see in the mirror? Are you limiting to what you see with some physical imperfections that become visible? Are you willing to go deeper and create an eye contact with this person you see, so that you can reach out to that inner beauty this person possesses, even in the worst times? Do you really do that? Again, I'm going to emphasize on what you do and not what you know, because what you know, if you don't do that, it has no value. Is that right? No value at all. So my question is about what you do, because we all dress up in the morning. But how many of us really hold this back, this moment, to just connect with ourselves for a little bit before we start our day and get carried away with the many, many things in our to-do list and the many, many things we need to prove and achieve and get and attain? Before we run into that, how many of us really spend some time to just look into the mirror to see the person and not the physical form that you associate yourself with? Because we fear, we're scared to see these blemishes and imperfections we don't like. And that lack of acceptance is what cuts short the mirror time. If you're able to hold yourself back for just 2 minutes, if you don't have time in the morning, and I don't know what that means, because the time is yours and you have to decide where to spend that time. But let's say you don't have that time for yourself in the morning. I'm sure you can make time anytime during the day or before you sleep to just create an eye contact with yourself for 2 minutes and see how that feels and what is that connection that you truly feel with yourself. Self love doesn't come from here, your intellectual understanding. It comes from here, from your heart, about how you truly feel about yourself. Okay, let me ask you this. How self-forgiving do you think you are when you make mistakes? How long does it take for you to get over it? Because that will be an indication of the level of love you experience for yourself. Let me put out a few indicators, and I would encourage you to say a yes or a no to that. There could be a sometimes for some of these indicators, but in those scenarios, choose whether it is more of a yes or more of a no. All right, you got it? Say got it in the chat box if you got what I'm trying to say. I'm going to put out 5 indicators of what self-love could mean. If you do that, you say yes. If you don't do that, you say no. If it is sometimes, then choose whether it is more of a yes or more of a no. Got it? Got it? Achal's got it? Indiva's got it? Vinita, have you got what I'm saying? Yeah, Bharat's got it. All right, great. So let us look at these indicators. And again, as I always say, we will only share what we do and not what we know. So that's important. Okay, so let's look at the first indicator. You take criticism personally. When somebody criticizes you, you take it very personally. You feel hurt, you feel bad, you feel misunderstood. Is that a yes or a no? If it is sometimes, like I said, choose one side of the fence. Second, you wait for others to uplift your mood. When you're not in a good mood, you wait for a friend to reach out to you, a family member to notice that you're not your usual self. You wait for somebody to come and do something for you so that you feel better. How often do you do that? Number 3, you need to be appreciated to feel valued. If you don't get that appreciation from people, you don't think that you're of much value, that you are worth anything. How often do you feel that way? 4th, you'd rather do what's asked than to say no. Even if that means physical pain, discomfort, you would choose to go ahead and do this, whatever has been asked of you, instead of saying, no, I choose to look at my body right now. I'm not in the state of mind right now. And being able to say that no when required. How easy is it for you to say no? And finally, you don't find it easy to be yourself around others. You know, sometimes we land up telling a few people that I just love this relationship we share, you know, the friendship we have, because I can just be myself with you. Happens sometimes. You look at somebody and say, you know what, you make me so comfortable. I can just be myself. And here the question is, how often do you feel that you can be yourself with others? If it's really very often, is when you will say, yes, I mean, I'm comfortable being myself no matter where I am. But is that really true? Is that what you do, or is that what you think you should do? Now, if you've said yes to any of these, is where you have experienced moments of less self-love, sometimes no self-love. If there is enough self-love, then criticism will always be at a distance from you. That's how it is. Why? Because you are aware and connected with who you are. And so anybody else's opinion is an opinion. It's an opinion. Just as how somebody's opinion on a piece of technology doesn't hurt you or your feelings, because there is a sense of detachment there, because it's not you. Anybody else's opinion of you is also not you. It is their perception of who you are. But that perception looks so real to you because you don't know who you are. So you are perceiving yourself to be the way you are being perceived as. And that is why that criticism feels so bad. But if you've connected with yourself and you know that this looks like a case of misunderstanding, or you know that it is that specific behavior which has led to this criticism, you are in a position to look at it a little more objectively. It doesn't define you. It probably is highlighting a certain behavior that you exhibited, but your behavior is not you. You weigh more than just the way you behave, because the way you behave is also not the same all the time, isn't it? When you have that level of self-love within you, you don't need people to uplift your mood. You don't need to wait for them to appreciate so you feel valued. You will not hesitate to say no when you know you're compromising at your body level, mind level, when not needed. You will be comfortable being yourself. And that is not a function of how others make you feel comfortable. It's how comfortable you are in your skin. Now, I'm going to share with you something very, very personal. Okay, so you're going to just keep it to yourself. Is that a deal? Say deal in comments. Because I want to open up a part of my life which I don't talk about too often, but it is a testimony of the magic self-love can bring in, which I lacked completely in my life. Completely. Okay, so in large part of my childhood was when I had very low self-esteem, very low confidence. I used to feel like I looked terrible. I would run away from the mirror. I would not want to see myself in the mirror. And now when I look back, I see that is how some people in my environment made me feel, right? And I saw myself through their eyes. Whatever they told me I was is what I was to myself as well. Now, see, I come from a very simple middle class family. And one of the values in our family was to not praise yourself too much, right? And also not praise your children. Do you relate with that? You know, our parents, I'm generalizing, but I see many parents, you know, from that generation when we were kids, they would not tom-tom too much about their children. And, you know, we kind of do that. You know, parents like of today, we want to talk about our children and how great they are, sometimes an absolute exaggeration. But that's what we do a lot more than our parents did. In fact, my parents were firm believers of the fact that even if my child is a rock star, I don't have to say that. And so I wouldn't hear too much, you know, from them about me. Not in public for sure. Maybe in person, absolutely. We're very open and open communication. And I mean, I think we five are still very, very thick. And I'm blessed to have the family that I have. So we are a very close-knitted family. And five of us, I have two younger siblings. So we have three daughters to our parents. And I think beyond these five, there is this world, and then there is the outer world for all five of us. So that's how close we are. Yet, my understanding of self did not develop for a very, very long time. So I understood myself as how I was being perceived. And that for some people around, my cousins and a few friends and a few other people, showed me something which probably wasn't as true as I felt it was. It was much later, much, much later in life, that I saw beyond what was told to me, that I actually stopped at the mirror and looked at myself for just a little over 1 minute to see what is it that I'm escaping and running away from. What is this fake confidence that I have to keep showing? What is this fake it till you make it? Because it's exhausting, it's tiring. I feel like I'm not being authentic. Who is this authentic me? Who am I? And those questions crossed my mind way before I understood that all of this is spirituality. And then there are some books you can read, and then there are some people who can throw light on this. I had no idea. I was compelled by the way I was living my life to answer these questions, saying, hang on, who am I? Can I just look at myself in the mirror and see what is it that I'm not liking? Why do I only see imperfections? So even if somebody were to come and give me a compliment, it would just go like that, wouldn't even touch me. Forget about feeling good for a minute. It wouldn't even touch me because it felt so unreal. Can you imagine? So I think one of the biggest truth in a statement that you can find is beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. This statement is as true as any can be. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. It is through your eyes that you see the beauty in what you see, including yourself, especially yourself. And when I saw that beauty in me, I'm sharing with you, my friends, this is a fact. I started looking better. My skin tone became lighter by 2 tones, at least 2 tones lighter than what I was in my childhood. And I've done nothing, no treatment, no nothing, no products, no nothing. It is the self-love that grows within, that grows inside of you, that starts showing outside of you. That is the magic of self-love I have experienced in my own life. And so I'm telling you, it works. You have to first accept it. And that is the first step towards developing self-love. The reason why I'm sharing my story, and it's a personal one, but I want to share this with you just to let you know that you need to stop and look at the beauty of who you are from your own eyes before anybody else tells you what to look for. Because nothing else is real except for what you see and perceive, and that's the only reality. So let us sharpen the focus a little bit. Are you ready to do that? Is something opening up for you? Let's have some quick comments on what's opening up. Are you able to relate to any part of my story? Because I think that not all of us were born with that sense of self. I see children today have a much deeper, clearer sense of self. And that's really nice, as much as there are other things which are of concern. But I think that sense of self is what brings in confidence. Because unless you bring in self-love within yourself, confidence is a far-fetched goal. Compassion for others, too far. Loving other people, on the surface. There is no depth to it because it's not possible. Till such time you love yourself, you're not loving anyone the way you should, the way you can. You're not allowing yourself to build the ability to experience love, because that experience has to start with you. So how do we get there is what I want to share. But let me just pick up your comment here, Sanjay. Self-love is must, and to me, I believe, live large. It means taking a dynamic role in your own development. Be truly alive and not asleep in life's waiting room. Be a risk taker and thrill seeker, and above all, enjoy every moment, because life is only one. So live it king size. Beautiful, beautiful expression there, Sanjay. Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful, great comments here. Let's keep that coming while I take you through 5 ways to develop self-love. No method or any of what I'm about to share is possible or will work for you if you are in a state of denial, and that only you can identify for yourself, right? So if you think you're a 9 on 10 on self-love and you don't really need to do much, I would take your attention to those moments when you feel lonely. Because if you can connect with yourself, you have you with you all the time, isn't it? The sense of loneliness is when we feel those gaps in our life where relationships are not the way we expect them to be. And let me tell you, every relationship in life is an opportunity for us to discover ourselves. Right? How we behave in those relationships is what helps us understand who we are. So without relationships, it's impossible for us to survive as humans. We need relationships. But the question is, how dependent are we on these relationships to understand the self? As much as they're a way for us to discover who we are, our understanding of self, our love for self needs to go beyond those imperfections which are highlighted sometimes. It needs to go beyond the mistakes that we make, because to err is human. And as much as we say that, we don't believe it, because it takes forever sometimes for us to go beyond those mistakes, for us to overcome the guilt from the past, right? If you don't let the past be, then the present is not felt and the future is not possible. And yet, so often we are stuck with what's happened already, what happened back then. We still operate from there. Until such time you do that, you're not a 9 on 10 on self-love, my friend. I'll have to break this news to you, because you will have to come out of that denial. Only then will these steps work for you, because each one has worked for me and has helped me to be where I am. From a girl who could not put her hand up in the class of 40 to say a word, to someone who's been on a national beauty pageant and has won the crown of Mrs. India. It was not even a dream come true, because I could never dare to dream anything like that. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Right? So it was really one step at a time, like a baby step at a time. But every single step was supported with a little more self-love, and a little more, and a little more. And I'm still work in progress. I'm still working on it. And here is what I'm working on. I'm putting it out to you. Now the choice is yours. How seriously you take this, and how honestly are you willing to work on it? All right, let's look at the first thing that we need to start with. And this is really the start point. The start point is self-acceptance. This could be an exercise. In fact, when I take up sessions, I open some sessions with self-acceptance exercise, which means what? You accept a few things about yourself that you consider as your imperfection. It could be at a physical level, the stretch marks that you have, the blemishes that you have, the cuts and scars that you wish to hide or you keep concealing, that pot belly which you think should have been a fat belly, irrespective of how you treat your body. Anything and everything that you're not okay with about yourself, the first thing you've got to do is accept it. Accept that this is how it is. This is my body, and it looks the way it looks because of many other things that I've done to make it look this way, or not done to make it look this way. But you know what? No matter what it is, it's mine, and I accept it. I accept anything and everything I see as imperfection in me. That's the first step towards self-love. Starts with self-acceptance. The second thing is to look at self-talk. My self-talk was killing me back then. Killing me. It was the noise that was around me any which way. Whatever people said about me, while they said it in that moment, it stayed with me for many, many days and weeks and months, and was a constant reminder I would play again and again in my head about how I'm nothing to look at. I'm bad to look at. I have no confidence. I don't fit in, blah, blah, blah. Many, many, many other things, right? Until I started confronting my self-talk, and I said, hang on, okay, what is it that I'm telling myself? Is this really true? Can I think of one instance where it is not true, or it was not true? And that one instance was not the only. What are the other such situations where what I'm telling myself is not true? If you look at your self-talk from a distance, in fact, I would encourage you to give it another name. So for me, if I'm Yukti, my self-talk is Mukti, right? Which I want Mukti from. And I say, okay, you know what, Mukti, what are you trying to tell me about me? Might be true in some situations, but are not true in a few others. And when you start having this dialogue, is when you take charge of your mind, of your thoughts. And until you take charge of your thoughts, you can't decide where it's going to lead you, right? Because those thoughts are going to bring in the feelings, and the feelings will drive you towards an emotion. And from that emotion, you take an action. Sometimes that action is to stay in the shell. No action. Let me be in the shell. Let me not go out and talk to people. Let me not be visible. Are you following what I'm saying? So catching that talk, instead of getting scared of it, suppressing it, or getting carried away with it, and accepting this as your truth, none of this is the right way to go forward. The only way to go forward is to confront it. Look at it. Know that the intention is good. Your self-talk is there to protect you. But when you need protection and when you need to go beyond is your choice. It was always your choice. It will be. Now it depends on how ready are you to make that choice. The third way is appreciating yourself. Self-appreciation is about noticing what you do right, noticing how you're growing, noticing how you went out of your comfort zone, how you pushed yourself, even when nobody's applauding for you. Nobody knows that what you just did was a big deal for you. It was a big deal for you. It was not a big deal for anybody else. Somebody who's talked 200 times up on stage doesn't think that there is any big deal in talking up on the stage. When I did for the first time, my entire body was trembling. And I swear to God that I will never do this to myself again. From that to this point, when I've been up on the stage, hosting corporate shows, being on panel discussions, doing keynote speeches, etc. I don't know how many, maybe 250 or more. But every single time, it's not as if I'm not nervous, but I still notice things that I did well and I could do better. You need to stop and appreciate yourself. The fourth is to take responsibility of whatever your life is, wherever it is, whichever way it is. Good, bad, ugly, it's because of you. It's your life, and where you see it is where you brought it. Nobody else is responsible. Nobody else can be blamed. When you take that responsibility is when you're willing to take the necessary action to get you to where you wish to be, to become who you wish to become. Because if you will continue blaming people for where you are, then you will also keep waiting for people to take you where you want to be. Are you getting this? And nobody's going to come, let me tell you that. Life is too short for you. It is too short for others too. They don't have all the time on earth to tell you that you are awesome and you deserve to be there. And we will leave everything behind to help you get there. Sorry. You've got to figure that out for yourself. And if you're not willing to do it for yourself, then why should anyone bother to do it for you? Fair, right? The fifth is sincere gratitude for what you have. Because no matter how much lack you experience in life, there is so much abundance around you that you have no idea. The day you decide to notice is the day you will start relishing that abundance. Abundance of the fact that when you want to spend $100, you have 1,000 at your disposal, isn't it? Now you wish to spend only 100, but you got 1,000. You're thirsty and you don't need to worry about water getting over. You've got filters in your house. You've got water bottles a call away, arm's length away. Are you with me? You've got more food than you can have. You've got a lot more than you could have asked for. It's just that you want to keep asking for more without stopping to see what you already have. This gratitude journal and all of that is not just some spiritual crap. It is a very serious, powerful exercise. Do it to know it. If you've not done it, then you can't just shoot it down saying all of this doesn't work. I mean, I'm not a teenager to do stuff like that. Let me tell you, no age is a wrong age to do the right thing. And the right thing is to really stop and soak yourself in gratitude for how far you've come, for what you have, even though you might have a long list of what you don't. Until such time you value what you have, whatever you aspire to have is far from where you are, because you don't have the mindset to attract it. And you can keep working hard, but you will soon realize that it will only bring in exhaustion and more disappointment, because what you have in your mind, the energy level from which you're operating is that low. It is in this space of disappointment. I'm already not so happy with where I am. And if that's the energy with which I'm going to do what I'm going to do, then what do I expect to attract? I hope I'm leaving you with some food for thought, and more importantly, a very clear action plan towards bringing in more self-love. If a part of you feels that you are aware of it, I want you to go beyond that and see if you can act upon it. As I always say, knowing is of no value unless you do it. So I'm leaving you with some doing so that you learn some being. How to be requires some bit of doing things differently, thinking differently, behaving differently, and more importantly, stopping and realizing who are you and who do you want to become. I hope you found this to be a useful session. Would love to know what are you taking away, what has opened up for you in this discussion, in this satsang today. And also do keep writing to me your questions and challenges that you're facing, not just in your leadership space, but also in terms of the person you are and you want to become, the spiritual space that we all enjoy. So keep bringing it in, and I promise to pick them up and put out some methods, techniques, tools that can help you to overcome these challenges. With that, let's conclude today's satsang. Thank you so much for joining in. I will see you next Tuesday sharp at 8 Indian Standard Time. God bless you all.